what I'm going to talk about. First of all, very quickly, because you all know that, and some of you were speaking about this in your case study presentation, not all, but some, like presentation of Estonia has pointed this out, or Slovenian presentation about the role of evaluation questions in ex post evaluation. Then I remind us the lessons from midterm evaluation 2010, a little bit about experiences, what we have learned in answering evaluation questions. Then I introduce to you, the system which we prepared for 2014 and 2020 in another guidelines, which we are now going to publish very soon for reporting in 2017. And then I will ask you if we can use this system, the similar system, also for ex post evaluation, and what may be challenges and solutions. So we know that evaluation questions are focusing evaluation on policy achievements, because if we have a policy and we invest money into the policy, we want to achieve this policy, and questions are linked to the policy. And they should reflect intervention logic of the program, meaning interventions which are tailored to the needs based on the SWOT analysis and are then supposed to achieve objectives with the measures and through the measures and allocated funds. The questions, however, and answers to the questions should demonstrate the progress, effectiveness and efficiency, result, impacts and relevance of rural development policy. And they are establishing causal effect. To what extent the change happened due to the program. We have common questions which are for ex post evaluation provided in the Common Monitoring and Evaluation Framework, the original set and later set in ex post evaluation guidelines, which are also part of CMEF. And then we have program-specific evaluation questions, which are defined in member states. And they have their own specific role. The common questions are there to ask for common policy achievements, which are defined at the EU level, while program-specific evaluation questions are there to look at the achievements of policy respecting the national or regional specificities in application of rural development intervention. And the common questions should enhance the comparability of evaluation findings, of course taking into consideration specific requirements, which we were talking about for 2 days. And the program-specific evaluation questions are focusing on specific topics which are linked to the countries and regions. A little bit more about program-specific evaluation questions, when they are formulated. For example, when common questions are not able to capture the full range of achievements of objectives of the program area or program or axis, or national territorial priorities are not covered by them, if program shows potential indirect, unexpected positive or negative effects, or if stakeholders require to evaluate specific evaluation topics. Of course, the reason for formulation of program-specific evaluation questions are probably more than this. What is the lessons learned from midterm evaluation? We received the criticism that the set is overall too large. We heard yesterday from, I think, Estonia, that they still are going to use these questions, because the system was set up to answer these questions at the beginning of the programming period. So even the criticism was achieved, we also received now criticism that we have a new set, and the old set has been taken from the beginning, and now we have this challenge how to deal with the new set. We also received questions regarding new set already. Then, however, there was uncertainty about the old set, because the old set was kind of mixed. It didn't have a really clear concept behind. It was a mix of thematic, impact, implementation-related horizontal evaluation questions, and there was sometimes doubling the set of questions at the measure level. And sometimes the formulation was unclear, and also the definition of key terms have not been clarified, and plus, for common evaluation questions, there have been missing common judgment criteria to judge on the success. Then we also observed inconsistency between common evaluation questions and the policy framework, and between common evaluation questions and common indicators, which have been defined in CMES as well. And there was not sufficient guidance for answering evaluation questions as well. On the side of member states, also insufficient planning and preparing the evaluation, which caused the difficulties mainly with collecting of appropriate data to answer common evaluation questions, have been also observed in MTE stage. A result of this discussion and experience was another discussion on the revision of common set. As you know, common indicators are legally rooted because they have been annexed to implementing act. Common evaluation questions have not been legally rooted, and therefore we considered to change the set when we were developing ex post evaluation guidelines. So we have a new set. The first original set of 150 common evaluation questions have been simplified and reduced and more linked to the policy framework. So now we have three groups. One group are program-related common evaluation questions, which cover common strategic guidelines for rural development. They cover also the revision of common agriculture policy called health check, and they cover 7 impact indicators. Then we have a so-called measure-related evaluation questions, which are related to measure, but also more specifically to certain axes. And then we have a separate set for leader approach as axis 4, which covers community strategic priorities with respect to employment, diversification, and governance. So this is the new set. The new set has been published in ex post evaluation guidelines as a set with a very little instructions how these questions should be linked to the objectives. You have in brackets, in cursiva, which objective the question relate, maybe impact indicator, if it relate to the community strategic guidelines, or if it relate to the health check, and to which axis it relates, or it relates to the leader. So that's the guidance which was provided. So we already received some questions from member states, how to proceed in case of answering some of these questions. For 2014-2020 RDPs, based on the experiences which we collected through MTE and ongoingly after MTE, we knew that we have to provide much more guidance for answering evaluation questions. For example, we also conducted several workshops in member states through the yearly capacity building event, where we tried to think with the stakeholders in member states how to establish this system, what is important to consider, not to have the same mistakes or fails as in the last programming period. And I would like to introduce you briefly this system. We put a lot of emphasis for preparing the system. First of all, it's always useful to look again at the intervention logic. This is much more valid for ex post evaluation after so many modifications during the programming period. After health check, which was the kind of major modification of many RDPs, it's always worth it to look if the intervention logic is still addressing the needs which may change as well over the programming period. And then the second step, it's really important, is to have enough means to see if we can capture the changes which intervention are causing. meaning if we have the right evaluation questions, which are linked to the policy, and if we have means to answer these evaluation questions. In other words, link the intervention logic to evaluation elements, considering all the common and program-specific issues in policy. And this was the task, or this should be a task of preparing the evaluation. Then regarding structuring, we have to think, and I think Dimitri said today, first to think about approach and methods, and then to think about data. You said that today, no? So this is basically how we structure the evaluation. Well, yes. So this is what we are proposing for 2014 and 2020. And to think about consistent evaluation approach is not only evaluator's task. I think in the previous exercise this came very clearly up that managing authorities play a really important role because many means to accomplish this evaluation approach are in their hands and not only in the hands of evaluators. And then, of course, establish the evidence for evaluation, not to rely only on assumptions, but to rely on as much as possible on the quantitative evidence. And then we can only go to the conducting, we can collect the data, we can analyze the data, we provide judging and interpretation of collecting evidence, and then we can answer the evaluation questions in a robust way and draw conclusions and recommendations. So this is what we are now proposing for 2014 and 2020, and I have 3 questions for you. First of all, knowing the situation with the new set of common evaluation questions, what you are all familiar with, knowing that there is an old set of indicators in the system, to what extent can this approach be applicable also for answering the evaluation questions during the ex post evaluation of 2007-2013 rural development programs? What are the challenges linked to this, if yes? And what solutions you can propose for these challenges? I hope you have solutions in mind. I mean, we discussed today's methodological challenges, we discussed methods. A lot of good proposals have been spoken out. If you have solutions, we would be very much welcoming these solutions. Also, for possible questions, the help desk may receive in the short time. Thank you very much.